Hi guys and gals, I'm Brandon and I've installed about 175 miles of vinyl siding if you put the pieces end to end. Today I'm going to talk about how to go about replacing an outside corner post that's been damaged. This one here, we have some damage at the bottom, and I'd like to point out that there's a few really helpful videos out there on different methods on how to do this. You might find that they're lacking a little bit of information, so I'm going to try to fill in the gaps for you. Alright, so I'm going to stitch this in with the beginning of the video, but I'm going to say that the method that I'm going to use here might not be the best if you have a house with really old siding. If the siding is older, it tends to be more brittle, and we're going to be taking siding down and bending it a lot, and you're running a risk of cracking it. One thing I will say about even doing their method is that you might have the corner cracking a lot as you're trying to knife it. So the best thing to do might be to get an oscillating tool. Instead of using a knife, an oscillating tool might actually cut a little better and crack things a little less. So now we'll move on to the video. So the first thing is what the corner actually looks like inside. You can see that we have a J pocket here where the siding goes, and then you have a nail fin right here. You have a little gap inside there. And the videos that I've seen, they inform you to knife off this outer edge. It would actually be this piece right here, and you're leaving this U right here on the wall. So they inform you to knife it all the way down the corner right there, knife it once to get through the outer layer, and then knife it again to get through that inner layer. And you do that up the whole corner post, and that way all the siding can stay put and you don't have to monkey around with the siding. What that ends up being is you end up leaving this on the wall nailed, so you have that on both sides, and then you run your knife down this corner right here and you cut off this L, and what you end up with is basically something like this. On the wall. So now that's locked into there. It's really not going anywhere. It can slide up and down, and they inform you to put some glue right there on both sides, and then maybe rivet the top so that the corner can expand and contract downwards. Okay, so now I'll get into some of the reasons why this might not work. One is you can actually see right here, I have two different, it's actually the same brand outside corner as what's on there, but it's a slightly different profile. And you see this gap right here between this one and the outer edge. You might have to do some math to make sure that this corner isn't going to sit on the wall like that, or like this, overbent like this, or underbent, however you want to look at the words there. So, and you might actually have to knife this off to get it to sit a bit tighter. But like I said, you have to kind of do math to figure that out. So that's that. And another reason that you might not want to do that is because you don't really know exactly what corner post you have or what kind of siding you have until you start ripping it apart. If you take the siding back, you're going to expose this right here, This is part of that corner. This one doesn't have any lettering on it, but this one right here has some lettering. And you can see right there, it says 3/4 inch universal wood grain corner post, rough cedar. And if you look real closely, you can see it says antique linen. Now, that lets me know what brand this is, just knowing the color, antique linen. That was a CertainTeed color. And most siding manufacturers are going to put some lettering on their siding and on their trim pieces to let you know what brand it was. The other thing you can do too to find out what brand you might have is peel back a piece of siding. This isn't 100% though, because sometimes suppliers will use they'll mix a different brand siding with a different brand trim. But what you need to do to get a look at it is you find the middle rib. You can see this is the whole piece of siding, and we can get the zip tool underneath the bottom there. Now we just pull it down and out, and you can hear that unclip. And now we're looking for the lettering. So right here it says Main Street D4, that's double 4-inch, snow. So snow is the color. Main Street is the line, which is made by CertainTeed. And double 4 is referring to 4-inch reveal, 4-inch reveal, and that makes an 8-inch piece. So now that we have that established, we know that the corner is already, it's CertainTeed. The siding is CertainTeed. I believe that CertainTeed actually renamed they renamed antique linen to snow. I'm not really sure on that though. So now continuing on with the types of outside corner posts, there's many different brands, there's many different styles, and there's many different colors even of outside corner posts. So the types typically are 20-foot super corners, which have foam inside of them, and this would be the profile just like I showed you the small corner. This would be 5.5 across the face typically, and like I said, about 20 feet long. This is a fluted one. Then you have your traditional with a little bump there and there and there, still 5.5, and then they make a beaded. It has a little bump and then it's flat across the face. Like I said, those are all basically 5.5. And then you have your 3 to 4 inch 10-foot corners, which some of them are flat, and then some of them have a little bump on the edge. And you might already notice that I'm going to replace this flat corner right here with one that has a bump on it. It was kind of difficult to find a flat corner. If I did some driving and I did some digging, I could probably find one, but the homeowner was fine with me putting this on. So yeah, they have a matte finish, and then they have a wood grain finish. So yeah, the 3 to 4 inch corners are typically 10 feet in length, and like I said, many different manufacturers, so you want to get a look at it and try to match that profile. So once you figured out the brand and the style and the color of your outside corner, what I would recommend doing would be go to your local lumber supply company or go to a siding distributor and see if you can get the corner. If you're not having any luck doing that, then I would ask the lumber supply company for some references, and they might be able to point you in the right direction. Somebody like me who has accounts at these bigger supply companies that supply siding all the time. And I would be happy to order outside corner for somebody, and I wouldn't carry a markup even. So this one here, so you get a reference of price. This corner is about $30. So you know, if somebody's trying to sell you a 4-inch outside corner post for $100, you know, they got a decent markup on that. A 20-foot outside corner post, those run about $120 probably. If it's colored, you might spend up to $200, and it does really depend on where in the country you are. Things are probably more expensive in California, but I'm in New Hampshire, so that's my local price. So you know, if somebody's trying to charge you $500, $600 for an outside corner post, they're trying to rake you over a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna get right into it now. What we're gonna do is pop the siding off. The little pieces will come right off. The big pieces, I'm just gonna let them float there. And I'm gonna do this my way, which is replacing the whole corner, nail fin and all. And first thing I gotta do is take down that gutter. I'm gonna pull those wires out. Pull these wires out of there because those are all dead. And it's really not a good spot. I don't like that they did this. They put those wires inside the J-pocket. Now the siding has nowhere to expand and contract. And what actually I think happened a little bit is it pushed the siding all the way to the left inside tight there. And then I think it also pushed this corner out a little bit. So you want to avoid that if you can. I wouldn't have the cable guys put a wire like that. A little pro tip here. When it comes to taking off vinyl, soffit, gutters, all the things that bees like to make nests in, hornets like to make nests in, what I do, and obviously be very careful, is I give it a little bump, see if anything comes out, give it a little bump, nothing's coming out, and then I'll really try to wake them up. Yep, nobody's home. Okay, so I think I'm good. It's not 100%, but oh, look at that. We got two different kinds of screws. Obviously, when it comes to bees, be very careful, and when I'm bumping on that corner, I'm ready to run. So now we have the downspout off, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these wires. The satellite's not being used anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and snip these and just get them out of the way. Obviously, when it comes to snipping wires and stuff, you got to be sure that they're not wires that are supplying power. But I know these are communication lines. Another thing I like to do is keep one of these things with a variety of bits in my nail bags with me. It just makes it that much faster. You're not running back and forth or up and down ladders to grab different bits. And once again, these ones aren't being used either, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these. Get rid of some ugly wires. We'll have to fill in this hole with some caulking. This one here I might actually tuck behind the siding. I can just go like this with it and go into that bottom rib there. This one's already cut, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it flush. So I cleared out as much stuff out of the way as I can, and I'm going to go ahead and start loosening up the siding and popping it off all the way down. I'm going to leave this piece on here, and I'll show you how I can go around that without having to take any of this off. That can stay. Nobody's home. And you can see just what a poor job these guys did. They didn't even put any tabs in this top piece. That is not the right way to do it. The dragonfly scared me. So I popped the staples for about 3 feet, and now I'm just going to bump it down till the bottom is unclipped and flex that piece out just like that. On the longer pieces, that's how I'll do it. On the shorter pieces, I'll just pull the whole piece out. This one's being stubborn. There we go. I don't like that. Now this piece right here, I need to be really careful with, because I don't want to unclip this much past this point right here, because it's going to be extremely hard to zip this back in, being that close to the meter. So I'm going to put my hand there, pull that out like that, and just hope that it stays right there. They have a tendency to kind of unclip more as you go. So I actually changed my mind. All it was 2 screws to take that out. And there goes a wasp. Eesh. Okay. I'm glad he just flew away and didn't come at me. I saw it fly in there earlier. Another thing you can do to figure out if there's any nests, you just sit and watch for a while. Now, one thing I will point out is it's a pretty warm day, and you really want to do this on a warm day because the siding is going to be more flexible and you're less likely to break the pieces. And another thing is, if you have really old brittle siding, you might not be able to do this at all, and you might be better off just trying the first method so you don't have to disturb the vinyl siding. This one's a little difficult. That one's gonna stay. Sheesh. Well, guys, I found a nest. It is in that box. One thing I was going to mention is I do like to rip the siding down and get a look at what's going on underneath. You can see right there, you probably noticed earlier, we're missing house wrap. So I can recommend to the homeowners what to do in those cases if they want me to take care of that. And also down here at the bottom, you'll be able to get a look at the plywood underneath and see if it's rotting out or if it's in good shape. Maybe it's something that a section of wall has to be stripped, new plywood and new house wrap, so you know you're good for quite a few more years. Kind of nipping it in the bud. Okay, I'm hoping all the hornets are out of there. And I'm gonna go ahead and skip by that for now. Definitely becomes a lot more difficult when you have pipes and stuff impeding your ability to pull, to flex that siding out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on this other side there, and then I'll actually be able to just rip that corner right off, and I'll just pull the staples right through the nail fin. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty. This siding is way short. And then instead of putting tabs up here, they just put a staple right through the siding. is not the right way to do that. And I think that I might actually put a little piece in there just to make that look a little nicer. Siding is in pretty rough shape. It was all cracked right there. All right, now I have the siding all loose, and for the most part on the outside of that corner. Now I'm going to pull all the staples in the corner. I'm actually going to take a look at this. And that feels pretty solid, and it looks like they did a good job. So the good news is I won't have to be replacing any plywood. The other good news is that they used about three staples in this corner, so it's not taking a whole lot to rip the thing off. can see that there was a bunch of wasp nests up in there. And there's the damaged part. But all those were inactive. This is what I was talking about before. Now I can actually get at the ends of these pieces and create a little bit of room for myself when I go to put that new corner on. Don't know. Yeah, I'll get at that. All right, now I'm going to pull this starter a little bit away from the wall so that the nail fin of the corner will be able to pass by it. At least that's the idea here. I don't want to put it too far out because then it'll start to dimple the siding. So I think that'll give me just enough room. And now we're ready to put the new corner on. This here is a little bit of rot starting, maybe. That's in pretty good shape though. I might put a little piece of tape on there if I can find one. And we're gonna call that good. And get going on putting the corner up. So I think what happened here is the sider wanted to get a look at where the top of the foundation was. So he knew where to start his siding. So we'll just tape that. And we're good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the soffit down to the bottom of this piece of siding. Actually, first I'm going to clip that in. Oh, that's convenient. It's staying there for now, so I just want to make sure that I'm not pulling this piece down further than it's supposed to be. All right. So we have 95, well, I can go at 98, I mean 96, sorry guys. So 96 is looking pretty good. It's about an 1/8 inch below that piece of siding. And if I want to double check, I can measure this corner here. And we're at 95 7/8. So yeah, I'll go 96 because I like to be a little bit below the siding with the corner. And usually you want to check these to make sure that the factory edge is actually square. So I'm kind of doing this a little out of order. I got my mark and I'll check this for square. Looks like we got a little bit that could be trimmed off right there, and this side's looking pretty good, and we measured off of right there, so we know we're pretty good. We'll make this the bottom, Not that it matters too much. And there's our mark. At 96. You want to make sure you don't like twist this corner too much when you're squaring it, because I think you can actually throw your square a little out of whack if you're not letting the corner sit flat. And now I'm going just on the inside of that mark because I don't want my nail fin to be longer than the outside of the corner, because that'll get hung up. And it's really nice doing this when it's warmer out, because you can see I'm flexing that corner quite a bit and it is not gonna crack. And you can see this side right here is actually a little bit longer than the face. I want to make sure I trim that back. The easiest way to go about that is just bring it right around like this. Also, this tends to hit the F channel, the inside of the J trough, so I like to make that a little bit shorter as well, so that the F channel doesn't hold the corner down. Alright, so we're going to be trying to slip this inside at the top there. And we just need to bring these out a little bit and try to get the nail fin of the corner behind this undersill. Looks like we have it. And actually, okay, yeah, that's holding it out a little bit. Now what I'm doing is, it was actually hung up on the nail fin of the F channel that's underneath this undersill. So it's pushing that up a little bit. Now I got it to go past it. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm planing this in with this wall down this way. And it looks like it needs to go just a fuzz out, a little bit too far. And I got hung up on that again. There we go. So I'm just pinching it there, and I'm going to put this nail at the top of the slot so the corner can't slide away from the soffit. So we got that started, and you kind of fight the siding a little bit. You have to keep moving it out and out of the way. And I'm just going to tack this in a few places and just work my way down. There it is. There's the culprit. And I'm hoping that that starter isn't holding it up on the bottom. Oh, there's another one. So yeah, it's kind of a, you just gotta be patient. There we go. So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm planing it in with the other side of the house. I'm looking at this here and ensuring that it's going to be laying flat. I'm not splaying it out and I'm not pinching it like that. Another way to do this, which would maybe require giving yourself some more room there, would be to measure what you have here. Right there, and make sure your corner is sitting at a nice 90-degree corner. You can see I have like 3 1/4, and you could hold your tape on the edge of the wall, mark 3 1/4, top and bottom, and snap a line, and then you'll have a line to go to on the edge of the nail fin. Or if you didn't want to like kind of monkey with that, you can measure the overall here. You got 4 inches, a little bit less than 4, and then deduct this inch here, and that should get you to the outer edge there, which would be, I don't know, maybe about the same, the 3 1/4 or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, just a little bit of math, we'll get that. And I'm gonna continue nailing this. And it looks like the siding is a little short, so I'm actually going to cheat this corner in just a little bit. I'm going to actually splay it out. And here, my nails are going in the middle of the slot so that the corner can actually expand and contract downwards from that top nail that it's hanging from. And this side here, since everything's so tight, I'm just gonna let this bottom float a bit. I'm gonna actually skip all that. I'm not even gonna nail it. I'll put the nail up as high as I can go at the bottom of that piece there, and I'm just gonna call that good. So it is floating in between there, but it's secure. And these nails are not going tight. I'm leaving a little bit of space between the back of the nail head and the vinyl so that it can actually move. Okay, we have this side nailed, and now we can finish off this other side here. Did I get the bottom already? Nope. So you might have noticed by now that this corner is not actually the same color as the siding. This is a colonial white corner, and what was on here before was antique linen, or what is now CertainTeed's snow. But it looks all right. Finding out where that last nail was. And that's where I had one started. I like it. So now we can go ahead and start from the bottom and clip the pieces back in. That one staple is out. This is going to take a little bit of jimmying around to get that starter strip back in there. And this is done, this is actually getting done by feel, guys. So I can pull up here and I can feel it flexing right there. And I know it's out of the starter strip. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull another nail to get this to sink down a little bit more, so I can get that starter in there. In there. It's being a pain in the rumpus. Just so you guys are aware, this is kind of an atypical situation. This is not a typical situation where you have starter strips so close to the bottom of a surface here. So it's making it extremely difficult to push it down, flex it in, and get it to engage in the starter strip. And I can hear this piece sliding on that starter. Get in your home. You too good for your home? Ah, there we go. Whoo! Just took some patience. And I had to become Happy Gilmore for a little bit. Alright, so that is locked in there. And now I can nail it. But what I want to do is I'm going to look at where their staples were. And I'm going to make sure that I'm putting the nail in the bottom. Basically, I'm going to make sure that the nail, sometimes if the staple pulled out, sorry guys, I'm going in circles here, but if the staple pulled out, I'll just use the bottom, where the bottom leg of the staple was, and I'll put my nail in that same hole. But if it pulled through the nail fin, then obviously I have to nail a different spot because it's not going to hold. You want to nail the center of the slot, and once again, do not drive your nail tight. I'm just laying right down here. Here we go. And whew, there we go. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping in mind where their staples are, because I don't want to accidentally pull this piece too much up, and then pretty soon the pieces will be bending a lot. If you guys hear me grunting and breathing hard, I have 3 bulging discs and spinal stenosis. So a lot of times I'm actually in a bit of pain. This thing is, oh, okay. You know what's happening here, guys? Probably you don't. How can I explain this? The overlap in the siding is on the wrong side of the clip. I'm gonna see if I can demonstrate that to you. See, this could be something you run into, so let's see. Right here. That's not wanting to zip in, and here's why. This thing is like that. What I need to do is just flip this down there, and then I'll be able to zip the piece in above it. So watch this. You'll probably hear a little click too. You hear that? Now it's on the right side. Now I'll be able to zip this in. Like a dream. Usually, if you're fighting something just gotta take a moment to think. And some of the siding is gonna get replaced. It'll be a different video though. You want to put those nails in as straight as you can too. You don't want to angle them, because then the nail can actually pull through. It can actually pull through that nail slot. Now I'm going to do like I was saying I was going to. I'm going to tuck this wire right in there, and it might make a little bump in the siding, but it'll look better than having a wire hanging out. You can see the bottom leg of the staple was right there, so that's what I'm going with. I don't want to change what they did. These guys use staples sparingly. I was hoping I could slide this over and get it in a little tighter, but this right here will make it harder to slide the piece because it's putting pressure on the bottom. And I'm not nailing in that damaged part of the nail fin. Once again, you can see the bottom leg of the staple is right there. The top leg is right there. and I haven't really changed that. I think I'm going to put a little piece in there. It looks like they have their seams facing this way, so I'm going to tuck it behind this one. And here I'll show you how to make a factory end. Let's see, we can probably go about 2 inches, so I'll just eyeball it. And this piece is not going to get nailed. It's just going to rest in there. It's just to cover up the nail fin. So that looks just like the factory ends. Well, obviously it's a little shorter right there. And then you snip the bottom just like that too. I'll actually back this off a bit and get this in here. And hopefully that stays put for the most part and doesn't back out. This side is done, and man, that is not how you nail undersill. It's supposed to be able to move. I mean, I guess it can because it cracked the undersill. I'm surprised the undersill isn't bubbling more than it is. Must have been warm out when they did that. All right. Now I'll finish up. I might turn this into a different video too, so you might see it twice. This will be how to fix a piece that keeps falling out at the top of a wall. So what we want to do is make sure we measure this here, and we're looking for 4 inches. And that's pretty close. And we'll check over here as well. It felt like it was getting hung down a little bit. It is, yeah, it's maybe a 1/16 down, but we'll just take that into account when we do this. So I'm going to push it up, and then I'm going to trace the bottom of the undersill. I'm going to angle my pencil so it gets right up in there. And again, I'm just going to finish that off. And now we have a line where we need to put our tabs. And I know that I need about 3/8 of an inch above the line to put my tab. Down on this end, I'm going to go a little tighter to the line because the piece was hanging down, because we didn't quite have 4 inches. But the snap lock punch tool puts the tab down about a 1/4 inch from the top of the piece. So you need about maybe 3/8 there. And this is the snap lock punch. And we're shooting for about an 1/8 inch above that line that we traced out. And you can do these about every 10 inches or so, or every 3 or 4. But you want to make sure you have plenty, and most importantly, you want them in the right spot. That one's a little bit high. So where you start wandering away from the line, you can trim it down a little bit and put another one. And now it's just a matter of clipping it in, and you should hear it clip. And now what I'm doing is I'm sighting down it, and I'm looking for any dark spots. If there's a dark spot, it means there's a tab that's probably not fully engaged. That's good. Yeah, we're looking good. And as I've said in other videos, I could put a trim nail, a white nail, in the corner there, just to ensure that as this piece expands and contracts, that it doesn't walk itself outside of that corner right there, because I've seen that happen quite a bit. And then even these pieces in the middle, I could put a trim nail in the middle. That way they have a single point to expand and contract from. Because what I've seen before is a piece will walk all the way this way, and that next piece will walk all the way that way, and next thing you know, there's no overlap in between them. They're just butting together. That's one thing I've mentioned in a different video. And I'm not going to fix this just now. I'm just going to clip it back in like it was. So now we're going to put this side back together, and then we're done. we'll go ahead and replace that piece. We'll use, actually I'm gonna put a seam right here so we can get rid of that bit right there. Whoop. That's clipped in really well. You can see just how brittle siding can get right there. This piece actually cracked as I was cutting it. There we go. And I don't really need to, but I'll make this into a starter or a factory end. That made a cool sound as it went past my ear. The siding's not quite the same color. This was from a lumber supply company. We'll go there. Inside of the J is at about 8.5. Inside of the J pocket in the corner. The grain pattern's a little different and the color is a little different, but it's definitely better than having siding with holes in it. Another thing that can happen too is you'll end up with different, actually slightly different heights on the siding as well. They're all supposed to stay true to 8 inches. And they don't always do that. Get rid of that too. Sometimes you're just not very happy with what you have to work with. Now, this is one of those times. You got siding coming outside of the corner where I'm missing one piece. Only toss aside one. I should have pinched this back together. That looks okay. Where did it go? The mystery of the missing piece. Oh, no, I didn't make a new one. I only made one for there. Okay, 12.5. Really wishing that I would have got the right color siding. Just slightly different color of white. Now this is something you need to be really careful about doing. Putting a ladder against the siding. I've made dimples in it before. Usually doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. I don't know what kind of nonsense this is, guys. They must have had a fun time trying to clip that in. I'm not going to do it like they did. I'll get rid of some of this. And we'll make our factory end again on the bottom. Three and 7/8, 3 and 7/8, 3 and 7/8. So I'm gonna mark this, and then I'm just gonna keep in mind that I want my tabs to be very much right on that mark. All right, well, my guesstimation was a little off. You can see how it's falling down. So if you do something like this, you're like, I want it to be a little tighter. All right, what I'll do is I'll slide it out and pop out that bottom and then just fold the piece up. And that should pop right out. And now I can give it a trim and get those tabs down a little bit lower. I'd rather do this right now while I'm working on it and not have to come back to it. I think it would have been okay, but I want to be sure. There we go. Still hanging down a little bit, but I like it. And there's that one thing we can take out here. I can probably just caulk that in, or get a white nail and just put a white nail in there. I've mentioned this method of doing fascia metal before, where they put a roofing nail in it. You can see in the bottom leg there, they put a slot and a roofing nail. And I don't like the way it looks. You got this one rusting. If you use aluminum nails, it'd be a little better. Yeah, my opinion, it's just not a good look. Alright, rather than trying to guess at this, I'm actually going to cut this. And usually what you want to do is measure 8 3/8, and we'll go about an 1/8 inch up. Measure to the bottom, where I basically 8 3/8, and then go just a little bit up, and it works out pretty good. So we're at 8 1/4. About an 1/8 inch up from the bottom of this here. And we'll just do that 8 1/4 all the way across. It was staying pretty good. It's still a little tall. I think I'm gonna post an unedited version so you guys can get real life, and then I'm gonna shorten it up quite a bit and do a fast forward version. So I'm just gonna see what people like. So Hopefully you guys can bear with me as I figure out exactly what people are looking for. And I didn't bother putting a little notch in this one. That one already has one, and it has an inch to expand and contract. Okay, so I just got to screw that thing back on. Communication box here. There's one screw. Where'd the other one go? It's still up there. Use that same hole again. And I don't have to go super tight with that. This little funky guy. Hopefully no wasps come out when I'm doing this. Okay. Put this back where it was. Not my favorite thing to do here. That's where they had it though. And now it's time to put the downspout back up. That was this way. I'm actually going to mark it out and put it in the same exact spot. That way I can reuse those holes. Oh, those ones, the screws in my bags might have been the ones I was supposed to use for the downspout. Oh, there's two. Where's the third one? I'll use this one. And I'll just make a little mark in the center of that. This does have a little flex to it, so there's a little bit of forgiveness if I'm not exactly on. Right there. You guys probably noticed I build up quite a mess. As long as I'm not tripping over things, that doesn't work. Having a Phillips head, whoops, that's gonna disappear in there. There we are. Phillips head bit and a square drive screw. doesn't work out. All right. There we go. Of course, I'd put the screw hole on the other side, huh? I'll have to spin that other one around. And really, this kind of stuff, you got to be careful. You're putting screws through vinyl, and I'm screwing it into the plywood underneath. If it was cold out and I did this, then you might start seeing oil canning in this. Right there. And I don't want to overdrive these screws, and you'll see what happens here. I'll show you. If I overdrive these screws, it just starts to really suck that corner end. That just looks like garbage. So you go till it's just snug. Maybe just a little bit more than snug. Okay, I put my Phillips head bit way down inside my pencil holder. Now I gotta fish it out. There we go. That wasn't so bad. Alright guys and gals, that's it for this video. As you can see, I ended up with two different colors white here, but I'll be changing those out in the future, as well as making some other repairs here. Just let me know if there's any other videos you guys want to see in the comments.